scariest stories are whispered, not told.
I used to love summers at Grandma's house. Back then, I didn't know how quiet could become unsettling, how silence could feel like something watching. Grandma lived in a creaky Victorian house outside town, surrounded by pine trees that whispered even when there was no wind. The kind of house that seemed frozen in time, where the floors moaned beneath your steps and the walls held on to every word you spoke. She always warned me to stay out of the attic. "It's full of junk," she'd say. "Dust and spider webs. Nothing fun up there." But like all warnings, it had the opposite effect. The attic became the most interesting room in the whole house. I imagined hidden treasure, secret compartments, forgotten memories. And when you're 12, curiosity always outweighs caution. The first time I snuck up there was on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Grandma had dozed off on the couch after lunch, snoring gently while some old detective show played on the TV. I slipped past the stairs and found the attic door beside the linen closet. It groaned when I opened it, revealing steep, narrow steps leading into darkness. Dust hit me like a wall when I climbed the stairs. The air was thick, stale, like it hadn't been stirred in decades. The attic was bigger than I expected, an A-frame room cluttered with boxes, trunks, furniture covered in sheets. Motes of dust spun in the shafts of light from a small, round window. But the mirror was what caught my eye. It stood at the far end, tall and imposing, propped up against the wall between two wooden beams. An ornate wooden frame wrapped around it, curved patterns, deep carvings that looked hand-chiseled. Not flowers or vines, but shapes I didn't recognize. Some looked like runes, others like eyes. I walked closer. That's when I noticed something strange. I wasn't in the reflection. I blinked, took a step back, rubbed my eyes. The mirror reflected the room perfectly. The boxes, the window, even the light. But not me. I waved. Nothing. I reached out to touch it. The surface felt cold, colder than it should have been, like metal left in snow. I backed away, unnerved, but I didn't tell Grandma. The next day, I went up again. Still no reflection. I tried using my phone to take a picture of the mirror. My screen stayed black. I took a photo anyway. When I checked the gallery, the photo showed the attic perfectly, but the mirror was completely blank. Not black, not shiny, just void. Something about the mirror made it hard to look at. My head would ache. My ears would ring faintly when I stood too close. But I kept going back. It became an obsession. Every day I'd go up, just for a few minutes. I started whispering to the mirror, asking questions. Why don't you show me? What are you really? One day, I thought I saw movement. Not in the reflection, in the glass itself. A flicker, like something behind it. My blood turned to ice. I didn't move. The flicker came again, closer to the surface. Then I heard a whisper. Not out loud, inside my head. It said my name. I ran downstairs and didn't go back for a week. But the mirror didn't leave me alone. That night, I dreamed of it. Not just dreamed. I was in the attic again, standing in front of it. But in the dream, the mirror wasn't blank. It showed a girl, pale, long dark hair. Her mouth was moving, but no sound came out. When I woke up, my pillow was damp. I hadn't cried in years. 2 nights later, I heard footsteps above me, slow, deliberate. The attic. Grandma's room was at the other end of the house. I crept out of bed and climbed the stairs again, flashlight in hand. The attic door creaked open. Nothing moved, except the mirror. It was standing straight up now. I hadn't left it like that. It had been tilted back. As I stepped closer, my flashlight flickered. And then the mirror lit up on its own. It glowed faintly. I could see the reflection this time. The boxes, the window, the beams. and the girl standing right behind me. I spun around. Nothing there. But when I turned back, the reflection stayed. The girl didn't disappear. She was pale, hollow-eyed, her mouth stretched too wide. Her fingers were pressed against the inside of the glass. Then she whispered again. I don't remember what happened next. When I woke up, I was in bed, my flashlight on the floor, my shoes muddy. The next day, Grandma noticed the scratches on my arms. "What were you doing in the attic?" she asked, eyes hard. I lied, said I tripped in the backyard. She didn't believe me. "That mirror's not for you," she said. "You should have listened." "What is it?" I asked. She didn't answer, just stared at me for a long time before saying, "If it ever calls your name again, don't answer." I tried to stay away, but the dreams came back, stronger. Now, I wasn't just watching the girl. I was her, trapped, screaming, pounding the glass from the inside. And I started waking up with bruises, fingertip-sized marks around my wrists, scratches on my back. I confronted Grandma. "What is the mirror?" She sighed, looked older than I'd ever seen her. "It belonged to my sister," she said. "She disappeared when we were kids. We were playing hide and seek. She hid in the attic. We never found her. Only the mirror was left." I left the next morning. Didn't say goodbye. But the mirror didn't stay in the attic. 2 nights after I got home, I found a package on my doorstep. No return address. Inside, a framed shard of mirror, wrapped in old cloth. Since then, I see her sometimes. In windows, in puddles, in phone screens. She doesn't speak anymore. Just stares, waiting. The first time I heard it, I was 9 years old, lying in bed with my flashlight and a Goosebumps book. The old radio on my nightstand buzzed softly, the dial slightly off from the local AM station. I liked the static. It helped me fall asleep, till it didn't. It started with a whisper. Not a word I understood, just a shape of breath through noise. I turned the dial, thinking it was bleed-through from another station. But the voice followed the static, clinging to it like it lived there, like it breathed it. I turned the radio off, but the whisper didn't stop. I told my parents. They smiled, called it a dream, said radios do weird things, interference, ghost frequencies. "You're just imagining it," Dad said. "No more scary books before bed." I obeyed, mostly, but the radio didn't care. Even when turned off, it crackled faintly at night. I'd press my ear to the speaker, swear I heard a heartbeat, a wet breath. One night, I unplugged it. It kept humming. That was the first summer I started sleepwalking. My mom found me in the hallway, muttering. Once she caught me trying to tune the radio while still asleep. She threw the radio out. I found it in the attic 2 weeks later, wrapped in a pillowcase, still warm. I didn't bring it down. I should have burned it. Years passed. I forgot about it. Life moved on. We moved houses. I grew up, discovered girls, coffee, late-night cramming, but I never listened to the radio again. Not in the car, not in the background, not ever, until James died. He was my roommate, my best friend since middle school. We drifted a bit in college, different majors, different lives, but we shared the same crappy apartment off campus. He was the night owl, I was the early riser. We didn't talk much anymore. The night he died, I heard static, not from a device, from the air. I was brushing my teeth when I felt it, like my eardrums buzzed, like the silence between sounds had filled with something that shouldn't be there. I stepped into the living room. The clock blinked 3:17 a.m. James was sitting on the couch, staring at the wall. I said his name. He didn't blink, didn't move, just whispered, "You hear it too." He was gone in the morning. Police said it was natural causes, no foul play, just a freak aneurysm. But I remembered the whisper. I remembered the static. And I remembered the old radio. I found one at a thrift store. Not the same model, but similar. Analog dial, dusty speaker. I brought it home and waited until night, when the world was still. I turned the dial slowly, past the stations, into the cracks between them. The static surged, and something laughed. 3 nights ago, I woke up to an old song playing in my room. Mr. Sandman, by the Cordettes. Warped and off-key. I don't own a record player. I checked my phone. No apps open, no audio files. The sound was coming from my closet. Inside, the radio. The same one. Speaker humming. Dial cracked. And something behind it, breathing. I ran. I didn't stop. I left everything. I'm writing this from a hotel room 2 states away. I don't know if this message will stay long enough to be read. But if you ever hear the static, really hear it, don't listen, don't tune in. Because once it knows your frequency, it never stops calling. I moved into the house 3 weeks after the funeral. It wasn't meant to be permanent. Just a place to clear my head, sort through Mom's things, and maybe figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. The place had been hers for over 30 years, and in that time, nothing had changed. The same wallpaper, the same furniture, the same squeaky basement steps that used to terrify me as a kid, the same basement door. She used to tell me not to open it, said it was drafty down there, moldy, dangerous. You'll catch a cold, she'd say, ruffling my hair, but she never locked it. She didn't have to. The door didn't open. Not for me, not for her, not ever, until I heard it creak at 3:17 a.m. It was my first night back. I'd been drinking, not heavily, just enough to take the edge off. I fell asleep watching old home videos, VHS tapes, fuzzy from years of use. Mom's voice, soft and grainy through the speakers. I woke up suddenly. The house felt wrong. The silence wasn't silent. It was thick, pressed against my ears. I checked the clock. 3:17. That was when I heard the basement door open. Just a click, a creak, like it had never been stuck at all. I didn't check that night. I told myself I'd imagined it, that the old house was settling, like people always say. But the next morning, the door was open. Not wide, just ajar, like someone had peeked through and left in a hurry. I closed it, pushed hard until the frame groaned and latched. That night, 3:17 a.m., it opened again. I started staying up. Alarm set for 3:15. I'd sit on the couch, eyes on the hallway. Nothing all night. Until 3:17. Then, without fail, the handle would jiggle. The latch would click, and the door would drift open, revealing a yawning blackness below. I put a chair in front of it, then a dresser. I even nailed it shut once. Didn't matter. Every night, 3:17 a.m., it was open. The nails untouched, the chair unmoved. Just open. I stopped sleeping. I started recording. Camera pointed at the hallway, timestamp in the corner. For 6 nights, nothing happened. On the 7th, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the door opened, and something stepped out. It was blurry, almost too fast for the camera. A tall shape, hunched, limbs too long, moving unnaturally. It crossed the hall and disappeared out of frame. I didn't hear anything, didn't feel anything. But when I woke up the next morning, the camera was gone, and there was a red mark on the basement door handle. I called a contractor, told him I wanted the door sealed permanently. He laughed, said he could pour concrete down. Then he turned to me, pale. "There's no floor," he said. "What do you mean?" "There's no bottom. It just goes down." He left without sealing anything, said he'd call me. Never did. The dream started next. I'd be standing at the top of the basement steps, a voice whispering my name from below. Always the same time, 3:17. One night I dreamt I went down. The stairs stretched forever, twisting, narrow. The air was thick, like walking through syrup. At the bottom was a mirror. It didn't show me. It showed the basement door from the hallway. Open, and something crawling out. I woke up on the floor, right outside the door. My fingernails were cracked and dirty. My phone read 319. I moved out that day. Sold the house to a company that flips old properties. They listed it online. Beautiful old home, charming, full of potential. No one ever mentioned the door. But last week I got a letter. No return address. Inside, a single photograph. The basement door open, and in the dark below it, two glowing eyes.